won the boiler swim for 4 or 5 years in a row in the sort of early 90s there. And my car assures me that he still holds the swim record in the triathlon for the teams. So where 3 people are competing, and one doing a swim, one doing the cycle, one doing the run. And as part of a team, Gibbo still holds the swim record. In his later years, he took up golf, and we heard a lot about that from Glenn and some of the others yesterday. But again, he excelled, and despite his his limitations physically, he was still able to play some very good golf. I know ESPN thinks of this as a sport, so I guess I have to mention it. Gibbo was also a poker player, and he was in several poker schools from the mid 90s through. Sometimes he'd turn up late and come racing in, sort of bedraggled and with a big smile on his face, and jump straight into it. Other days, as Glenn said, he might be the first one there. But he consistently played in different poker schools right up to the last few weeks. He was always up for corporate sports, whether it was squash or mixed netball or paddling or just about anything that was going. If you ask Gibbo, he'd join your team. Basketball, and this is, I guess, the one that I want to talk about the most. Gibbo also played basketball for a few years for the local team, the Ikes, and there was one particular time, it was the New Year's Day tournament. Again, I think this is, Mike might be able to correct me, I think this is 1990, and the New Year's Day tournament was quite a big thing because basketball was very active at that stage. But with those sort of Energizer Bunny movements, if you saw Gibbo playing and he was dribbling, he'd be smashing the ball into the court like this, and he'd be looking at it. And if he was going to shoot, he'd just look up at the board and go woof, and the ball would go like a bullet and either hit the ring or the backboard and come racing off. And if you got in the way of one of those, well, you were a bit worse for wear. Anyway, I was playing for a team, the Cook Islands News, which was formed by Alex Sword, Malcolm's younger brother, and we'd reached the semi-finals of this New Year's Day tournament, and we were playing the Ikes. So we played away, and we got to the end of normal time, and the scores were tied. So we had to go into extra time. This is at Paparoa, just down here. So the crowd is very close. They're all on the stage and just standing around the wall and things like that. And everybody was quite excited. We're going into extra time. We were playing away, and it was time was running down. The scores were still tied, and we got to about 5 seconds to go. And somebody in the Ikes passed Gibbo the ball. He was about halfway out from the key to the halfway line. He ended up with the ball, and he's going boom, 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 boom like this, and the crowd's going, "Go shoot!" And he just looks up, two-handed, and goes woof. As he did, the buzzer rang. That was game over. Except that the ball just went sailing into the net. And they'd won. It produced this buzzer beater out of nowhere, and the Ikes went through to the final, and the crowd just went crazy, and it was a great moment. But after that, I started calling him Sweet Pea Gibson because of this one fantastic shot that he pulled off. And of course, you keep teasing each other about that, and Gibbo would never stop because he'd beaten me in that game. And then as things go, it sort of fell away and we've forgotten about it. When Gibbo was in hospital and he was having a hard time, he looked up and he said to me, "Ray, at my eulogy, you tell him about Sweet Pea Gibson." So, I've honoured my promise, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. We've received a lot of messages from overseas over the last few days since Gibbo passed, and I've sifted through them, drawn out stories out of them, some of them for what I'm saying today, but I've drawn out a few, and one of Gibbo's all-time favourite young folk, Logan York, is going to come and read them.
If you ready, I'll hand you this one.
So we're going to start off by my dad's speech. Fortunately, last saw Gibbo on a phone call 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's in Hong Kong and he sends his love. This is from him. Gibbo, my best mate. A best mate to many of us and almost part of our family. He leaves us with many fond memories, and here are some of them from me. A sportsman. Whether it was swimming, surfing, tennis, squash or golf, Gibbo was a fiercely competitive sportsman, usually performing well above his ability. There are several memorable moments, however 2 of note. One when competing with him in the Rarotongan triathlon. It was the first time we had some of the top New Zealand triathletes competing, as I was casually waiting for him to finish the swim when the call came out, "That's Gibbo," as he comes out the water in top 3, leaving me scrambling to get ready for the bike leg and huge pressure and expectations. Unfortunately, I could not maintain our position. The second was on the Cider Cup golf trips on the Gold Coast, where he was about to tee off and the course marshal drives up in his buggy and watches us. I was standing next. The marshal and Gibbo goes up to the tee and commences his pre-swing routine. Up, down, one back swing and then stop behind the ball. Another back swing and stop behind the ball. By this time the course marshal was looking at us and wondering if we should even be there. Then Gibbo goes smack, straight down the middle, to which the course marshal went, "Unorthodox but effective." He also hated to lose, and it was also a small reward to see him frustrated when he did. A hunter and gatherer and surfer. Whether this was spearfishing in Awaroa Passage or outside the reef, catching crayfish up in the stream, fishing in the jig he built with PB, and later on his aptly named boat, the Boardroom, which not only was used for fishing but also carried his beloved surfboards. We spent many hours out on the sea with some memorable catches, along with a few scary moments coming out inside the passage. This included his marlin, which he won the John Best Trophy. During all these times, he was always full of energy and enthusiasm. However, some of the time, Gibbo was at his happiest on his board, carving up the waves, in particular the bows at the Awaroa Passage, where he was king. He also applied his hunting skills on land too, usually late at night at places like Trader Jack's, First Club, PJ's, and later at Vaiana's and Rehab. Occasionally, very occasionally, these missions were followed up with some fine dining, which for lucky few or perhaps unfortunate few ended up in his infamous A-frame or later at his upgraded pad here. However, all of these land-based catches turned out to be tag and release.